I do apologize. That's what you get when you put an Italian, an American, and a British guy all together in the same room. You don't always get cohesion. You kind of get all jumbled up mess of information. It was good to talk to Manny though. Thanks, Manny. We joked around a lot. He didn't fire me. Obviously, we're back. Um, we talked. At the end of the show about the Super Bowl, and I got Manny's impression. And I know it was kind of rumbled. Wasn't You guys might not have been able to hear it. I'm gonna try to save some of it, a lot of it in the editing. He was basically saying that the Giants doesn't change up his play calling enough to win the Super Bowl, and the Raiders, he can read defenses very well, and he figured out the Giants, defense in time to win. That being said, boys, that was a close game. Well, let's not just make it like the Raiders blew the Giants out. It was 35-28. So.
No, 38-35.
Yeah, 38-35. So it was a close game, and for Manny's, he was right. The Giants doesn't change up his defense very often, but the Giants' defense got him to an undefeated season and to the Super Bowl. So, although yes, credit goes to the eventual Raiders in the Super Bowl winning season, but the Giants is no slouch. Looking over the stats of this game. McFadden had over 100 yards, almost 200 yards. Most of them came on a 77-yard run. That was the big thing for me. What do you guys take away from it as the keys to the game?
Yeah, me off first bat. Bradshaw and Jacobs both ran over 100 yards. Nix and Hickson both had 100 yards receiving. On paper, it looks like the Giants should have won this game. The big key is he controlled the time of possession also.
And interceptions.
Yeah, so you look at all the stats, and you would think the Giants would come out with the victory. Yeah. What's the turnover battle? I guess Eli Manning with the 2 interception versus Jason Campbell with 1 interception, but prior through the other interception. So that kind of offsets both of them there. So then I would go into the scoring summaries and just see, you'd have to actually even break it more down, the third down conversions. How was your third downs? Were they long third downs or were they short third downs?
Well,
in a game like this, you would have to really, really look at that into that play because, it's a 3-point game. The Giants had the ball at the end, scored with 20 seconds left. So.
Well,
pick 6.
Yeah, and McFadden.
That's the only stat that stands out. Yep. Both have the same amount of interceptions, basically level stats all the way.
But the Giants held McFadden the whole game, and that 77-yard run came with 1:26 left in the game.
Wow.
So there's the home run. The home run threat. He held them the whole game, and with about 1:30 left, he let up the big 77-yard run.
Hey, and that's why you give McFadden 26 touches, because one of those touches, is a 77-yard run. One of those touches is a home run ball, and that's all it takes. We talked a lot about us, and what's your perspective of it, Alex, being in the AFC and seeing the Raiders obviously more often than me and Stocks do?
Well, I haven't seen them this season, but I know I've played people have played them, and I know people have played them, and they know they're a tough team.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2, the Chargers beat them with this season.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm not sure the stats on that one, or the score, but the Raiders lost, showing they're not unbeatable.
Well, that's the interesting point, because we know that the Raiders had some losses, some just straight up losses going into the Super Bowl, where the Giants were undefeated. Do you think that played a factor? This is either one of you guys. Do you think the pressure of being undefeated really affected the Giants, or?
No, it didn't, because he only lost by 3, and let up the 77-yard touchdown, so he was in control of the victory.
Yep.
He had it in the grasp. I think basically maybe he got tested just a little bit too much.
Yep.
And finally it was bound to break.
I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No,
here.
I understand that. It's just he had the team, he had the defensive
Yep.
line. He's played almost perfect
Yep.
up to a minute and 30 seconds left in his whole season. You know, so
Yep. I don't know when this happened or not, but looking back over the stats, one last final impression. What kind of comes as a shock and maybe the X factor of the game? Jason Campbell ran for 22 yards. Doesn't sound like much, but 22 yards could be a couple first downs. You know, in key moments that could have been big.
That's a lot to run for Jason Campbell.
Yeah, my whole biggest thing is Jason Campbell won you a Super Bowl as a quarterback. So what does that tell you? I believe that a Jason Campbell quarterback's not going to win you it, but he's not going to lose you it.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can kind of follow his motto. He's got the home run and hitting back, and he just uses his quarterback not to lose the game.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Stock. I think that's the golden point. That's the golden standard. Obviously, that's what both teams do that made it to the Super Bowl. Giants do the same thing. He gave Bradshaw 19 touches. He gave Jacobs 6 touches. He doesn't really put it, Now, granted, Eli Manning did throw for 300 yards, but we know as a body of work this season, he really used Eli only. He put him in positions where only Eli could succeed. He didn't put Eli in any kind of dangerous situations very often. So maybe that's what we need. Maybe we can learn something, or maybe a Drew Brees. Maybe this is the season for a strong arm, superstar quarterback, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Because we didn't see a lot of the big name quarterbacks in the Super Bowl going very late, and some of them missed altogether. Philip Rivers didn't even make it. And then Philip Rivers goes and beats him week 2, like Alex alluded to. So, it's a wacky season, and gridiron is a lot like the NFL. You can turn things around very quickly, and things can go very differently from season to season. Putting the bow on this season, and wrapping it up and sealing it away in the vault forever. What do you take from this game, looking at the stats, or what kind of advice can you give both owners as kind of a lasting impression?
Well, in my case, the Giants just played unbelievable all year.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything flashy in the trade market. He wasn't a big trade guy. He wasn't a big free agent. He wasn't. He kind of just stuck with his guns and went with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of goes to show you that you can kind of just build with a good core team, and I think that's what he has. Mm-hmm. He has a great offensive line. He has a great defensive line, and that's plain and simple. Eli Manning is I believe, an average quarterback. Not an average quarterback, but just slightly above average quarterback.
Yeah.
In skill wise and just the way he can, do things. And so then it goes down that it basically is winning in the trenches, and that's the type of the team the Giants are. That he's got the pound and ground Bradshaw Jacobs. Yeah, he's got Hakeem Nicks, which is we've always been talking about, is an unsung wide receiver. He's up there. He's probably a top 10 out of top 5 wide receiver in the league. And that's just basically, you have to look at the Giants' motto of how he went undefeated and went almost undefeated all the way up to a minute 30 seconds left in the game. That he wins on the defensive line and the offensive line, and he pounds and grounds with 2 great running backs and a decent wide receiver. And he doesn't have to trade anybody. He didn't trade anybody really big, so that's what I take from watching him the whole year.
Well, speaking to him, I think he's a Giants fan, so he does know that team pretty well. So obviously that paid off for him. Alex, what do you take away from this game and the season in general?
Well, if you get there, you can get there again. So,
Yep. Yeah.
commiserations to the Giants for not winning it after such a great season. But the fact he's done it once without that's the only game he's lost on gridiron this season, or this Madden. So, and looking at the stats, it's probably down to the pick six. That's what I personally think it is. Because it's fine saying, yep, you can punt it to someone and get the ball back. It's just when you throw the pick six, that's what kills you. I mean, at least give your defense a chance. If you throw a pick, it's kind of you give the opposition a decent field position and making it very hard for your defense to stop them and prevent them from getting points. So I think that's basically don't turn it over. And obviously, nobody tries to turn it over, but
I will say
you've got to
that
be careful with the football.
the Raiders were very optimistic. They had their chance and they took it. And, we could have really been talking about a perfect season, but we're not. It's very reminiscent of what happened a few years ago, but when the Patriots and the Giants met up. I mean, I hate to bring that analogy because of the outcome, but the irony is very, similar. Here's this undefeated, no one can touch him, and then, don't give us a chance. We're just in the black hole hanging out with our fans here. Oh, and by the way, we won the game, when the lights got turned out. So we're going to turn the lights out on this. This has been the Super Bowl wrap-up. I'm sorry it's been a while, guys. Hats off. You can't see me, sorry, but my hat is off to you guys. And like Alex said, go and repeat. I mean, you guys have proven you're both really dominant owners. There's no reason we're not talking about you again. We're going to come back. We're going to talk, I think, a little bit more about the draft. We're going to talk about some free agent stuff. We got a lot of content to cover. And stay with us.